The Dungeons & Dragons movie is out now, and any D&D fan worth their salt has probably been keeping their eyes peeled when watching for all the spells used in the blockbuster film. Well, Dicebreaker has you covered. I'm Liv Kennedy, and here are all 60 spells used in Dungeons & Dragons Honour Among Thieves. Of course, spoilers ahead for the film. A lot of spells come up in Edgin's backstory, which he explains in Revel's End, the prison in Icewind Dale where the film begins. If you fancy playing in Icewind Dale yourself, we're giving away the original Icewind Dale book and the alternate cover edition. To win with a chance of winning, stay tuned until the end of the video. Coming up first, we have Edgin's daughter Kira using the necklace she was gifted by Holger to cast greater invisibility on herself. Number 2, we have Simon the Sorcerer with Gust of Wind, utilising it to blow away some guards pursuing the party in a flashback at the beginning of the film. Sofina the Wizard casts Chain Lightning on a group of guards attempting to capture them while in the Harper's Temple. Then, to stop those guards, Edgin and Holger in their tracks, Sofina casts Time Stop, a 9th level spell. Sofina really is a powerful and dangerous wizard. We're counting Simon's attempt to counterspell Sofina here. He says he's not strong enough to stop it, and that does feel true to the source material. When you're trying to counter a spell, you'll need to make a spellcasting modifier check equal to 10 plus the spell's level. Time Stop is a 9th level spell, and so Simon would need to get a 19 or higher. That is a tall order. Oh, that's scorching hot. Looks like I need Sofina to cast Prestidigitation on my tea to cool it down. Well, maybe not the way she does it. Finger in the... Don't do it. We found out that this spell was actually Transmute Rock via a fun behind-the-scenes clip from the film. Edgin and Holger are stopped in their tracks as they try to make their way to Forge and give him a piece of their mind. Or a smack in the face. They are trapped in the ground and unable to budge. Now we know this is a real flame and not an illusory one because Simon literally sparks an explosion with it later on. And so we're going to go with Produce Flame for the spell where Simon lights up his finger. It needs to be a cantrip as he's casting another spell alongside it. It makes the most sense to us. We have Prestidigitation again to make the smell of fresh cut grass in Simon's show. Is this a Critical Role Campaign 3 reference? If it is, let's be glad it's FCG and not another one of the original companions that they had. Seeing as Simon's next trick also has to be a cantrip and therefore it can't be blur, which is a 2nd level spell, we're going to go with Minor Illusion here. It's the illusion of blurriness. That works, right? All while casting these seemingly underwhelming cantrips, Simon has been collecting up people's valuables, or nicking their bits and bobs, using Magnetism. This might not be an official D&D spell, but there's no doubting what it is from its description. While attempting to cast a shield spell, Simon's wild magic comes into play. He accidentally casts Reverse Gravity, causing him and everyone else in the theatre to become gravitationally attached to the ceiling instead of the floor. He then counteracts his spell later on. This may have just been flavour, as it's a concentration spell and he should just be able to drop it when he pleases. We think that the spell that causes him to fly up and out of the skylight is Reverse Gravity again, as he has little control over it and stops it the same way as he did before. We can infer that this is obviously a very powerful spell if it's created by the extremely powerful Mordenkainen. After discovering that Doric is hidden from immediate detection as a wild shape, Sofina attempts to shift her out of her form with Dispel Magic, which Doric narrowly avoids thanks to tactical wild shaping. Sofina tries to stop Doric in her tracks with a Firebolt. We're calling this a Firebolt rather than Sofina's Swarm of Meteors because of how frequently it's used in the scene, and because of how different Swarm of Meteors appears to be at the end of the film. While chasing Doric down, Sofina teleports mistily in pursuit. As a side note, I love that her Misty Step changes dependent on what colour she's wearing. Sofina's friend attacks the guards who let Edgin and Holger escape with a glowing green fiery blade as punishment for the mistake. I'd say they wouldn't make the same mistake again, but he dispatches them extremely quickly.
Only answer when I talk to you, okay?
Yes. Why did you say okay at the end of that?
I didn't.
Normally you wouldn't be able to cast this spell so frequently, but Simon's handy little token makes all the difference. The party uses Speak with Dead to ask the past members of Holger's tribe a few questions, with hilarious results. Using a legendary wondrous item, the Horn of Beckoning Death, we first see the people of Thay overwhelmed by murderous mist, ending their lives and turning them into an obedient undead army in the process. In order to keep all of the fleeing citizens of Thay confined to the city, the Red Wizards who are in on the plan to consume the souls of the city's residents keep them confined using Wall of Force, mercilessly trapping them within. This is quite dark. I'm glad we're getting back to some goofy fun with the next spell. In a very convenient twist, the walking stick Holger retrieved from her ex happens to be the Hither-Thither staff, allowing the party to use the spell Arcane Gate at will. With the ability to bamf about as they desire, life is made much easier by Simon's discovery that this stick is actually a staff. Nice one, Simon. We see Green Flame Blade used here again during Zenk's clash with Dralis, Sofina's friend, and undead Thayan foe. When retaliating against Dralis himself, Zenk evens the odds by imbuing his sword with holy power, casting Holy Weapon on the blade. The two fight it out with radiant damage against fire damage. While escaping from everyone's problematic fave, the chubby dragon Thembashard, the team once again get out of harm's way by arcane gating from one platform to the other. We get to see an old favourite again when Simon uses Produce Flame to spark Thembashard's breath weapon, destroying the dead end they are trapped in with a powerful explosion and allowing them to reach the surface. Arcane Gate is used once again during the party's heist-like plan to gain entry into Forge's vault in Neverwinter. The whole heist scene is so well done, by the way. So many nat 20s were rolled in that scene and you can't convince me otherwise. In one of the most fun and horrifying scenes in the film, Simon uses Major Illusion to create a magical version of Edgin, using it to distract the guards while they sneak into Neverwinter under their noses. This is also a fabulous example about how losing concentration on a spell can make things go disastrously wrong. I still see elongated Edgin every time I close my eyes. While being pursued by guards, Simon fully realizes his potential and finally attunes to the Helm of Disjunction after struggling to do so. With this newfound power, he uses Thunderwave to push the oncoming guards away from him, knocking them out and sending a reverberating boom out 300 feet, alerting Edgin to his success. Sofina is able to lure Edgin into her trap using the Alter Self spell to turn into Kira, his daughter. We're pretty sure this is Alter Self as opposed to Disguise Self because she shrinks down a fair bit. Initially, we did think this was a twist on Hunger of Hadar, but thanks to D&D Beyond's Thieves Gallery, which details out each character's stat block, we discovered that the limbs restraining the heroes after their heist goes awry are Evard's black tentacles. These tentacles rise out of the floor and create difficult terrain, potentially restraining those who share the same space as it. To quickly get the party and the recently rescued Kira out of Forge's path of destruction, Simon uses Control Water to create a wave that propels their ship out into the ocean. There's actually the risk of capsizing the ship here, but thankfully they avoided that. Sofina casts Beckoning Death once again in the Colosseum where the High Sun Games are being held. Thankfully, a lot of people escape the same fate as the Thayans thanks to our heroes using... In one of the funniest visual gags in the film, the team cast Arcane Gate between the ship full of treasure and the depiction of Forge on the hot air balloon above the city. Treasure spills out of his mouth and the residents of the city rush out to receive what they think are gifts from Forge. To hide from Sofina, who is now on a rage-filled rampage thanks to her failing to beckon death, Kira uses her necklace to become invisible. We think this is greater invisibility, as she's able to attach the spell Suppressor Cuff to Sofina later without dropping invisibility at all. Sofina floats above the party, looming above them using Fly to leave the Colosseum as she casts. Sofina takes her anger out on the party by showering them with a swarm of meteors. These fiery projectiles require a DC 18 dexterity saving throw, otherwise the party is dealt 10d6 fire damage and 10d6 bludgeoning damage on a failure and half on a save. Nasty stuff. It's a good thing that Simon uses. Sheltering Shield protects the party from harm as Simon conjures a shimmering 10-foot radius sphere of magical force centered on himself. Creatures inside the sphere have resistance to the damage that triggered this reaction, namely the huge meteors hurtling towards them. We weren't quite sure if Sofina was using a shield spell or Gust of Wind here when she repels Doric's owlbear form, and due to the fact that she's already been hit and the fact that shield doesn't repel an enemy, we're going to go with Gust of Wind here when Sofina defends herself from the feathered beast. Once again, this was a tough one to call between Polymorph and Animate Object, but we're going to go with an interesting use of the latter to bring the dragon statue to life, which starts coming after the party. Sofina teleports away from Doric the owlbear using Misty Step to find refuge atop a nearby building and maintain concentration on Animate Object. Simon casts a Chaos Bolt of Energy which hits the side of the dragon statue. This looks like force damage. Sofina Misty Steps to avoid falling when Doric hits her using her slingshot, losing concentration on Animate Object. As Holger and Edgin try to rush Sofina, she uses Otiluke's resilient sphere to trap them, sending them rolling away at high speed. Both Sofina and Simon face off against each other using Bigby's hand spells, having them manifest in a way that suits them. Simon uses the stones and rocks around him, while Sofina makes a big, goopy flesh hand. Sofina loves Gust of Wind, using it to stop herself from going prone when Edgin whomps her on the back of the head with his reinforced loot. Now, here's where things get tricky. Quickfire round. Sofina tries to take a swing at Edgin, presumably with her Necrotic Strike multi-attack, then using a bonus action to cast Ensnaring Strike on Edgin and trap him for a moment. Sofina uses Telekinesis to grab Holger's precious axe and throw it away! Simon dives as he casts Chaos Bolt against Sofina. We think he's using sorcery points here to make it a twin spell. It's a shame it misses. Both Sofina and Simon cast a shield spell to protect themselves and their allies. Simon directs an arc of lightning towards Sofina. We get another shield spell from Sofina to defend herself. We get another Ensnaring Strike against Edgin. Simon casts Firebolt, firing off 1, 2, 3 bolts. Sofina blasts Edgin away with another Gust of Wind. She loves it! Mirroring the start of the film, Sofina casts Time Stop, attempting to use this very high-level spell to render the team helpless. Sofina, thinking that the party has been frozen in place, approaches Edgin, planning to cast a Finger of Death spell on him. It's a very risky play on behalf of the heroes. She could definitely have killed him. Edgin starts at 110 HP, and he's definitely taken some damage during this fight. 78 plus 30 points of necrotic damage could have definitely done the job. Luckily, Simon has countered the time stop. He made the DC 19 charisma check. Good for him! Finally, Holger is returned to the material plane using the Tablet of Reawakening, dodging death at Sofina's hand. Here are a few honourable mentions that didn't quite fit the bill to be listed here. King Neverember was possibly feeble-minded by Sofina, but as the spell effect drops after she dies, we can't be certain that this was the case. Edgin is constantly bolstering his team, and we think that this is probably bardic inspiration.
Oh, we got him now!
Sofina uses some kind of true sight or detect magic to sense Doric's wild-shaped form. Senk may be using calm emotions to soothe the big fish and remove the weird little baby tabaxi guy from its mouth. Senk sniffs evil in the air, and we think this is some kind of divine sense or detect good and evil. Simon tries to attune to the Helm of Disjunction, and it's very magic-y but not exactly magic. Spider Climb and Stone Skin are mentioned but not seen. Sending stones are used, but they're magical items and they don't quite work the same as a normal sending or sending stones. The Helm of Disjunction dispels the enchantment on the vault. The spell Suppression Cuff must have some kind of magic in it in order to suppress magic, right? Beast Projection is an ability as opposed to a spell, and flying seems to be the byproduct of using the Horn of Beckoning Death. And that's it! Were there some that you missed? Were there some that we missed? Let us know. Thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. It's giveaway time. We're trying to get to 100k subs and we're only like 3,500 subs away. That's so close. At 100k we're going to do a big celebration live stream with some fun games and giveaways, but for now, you can win one of 2 Icewind Dale books. Just subscribe and leave a comment below and we'll randomly select a couple of winners. Your comment can be anything, maybe your favourite spell that was used in the film, or just a random thought about the film. Winners will be selected in a week. Good luck. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like it, subscribe and hit the bell icon for more from us. You can read articles from us too over on dicebreaker.com, lots of D&D movie content over there. But most importantly, have a lovely day.